Hello and welcome to Sam's on Wrestling and our brand new series called Brackets, because we couldn't think of anything more creative. I am your host for this show. I am Sam and I am joined by Baby Sam. Hello, Baby Sam.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing alright. And what this new series is exactly what it says on the tin. We are going to be having a bracket of a certain wrestling category. As you can see in the video title, we will be looking at WWE debuts, not re-debuts, literally their first ever appearance. And it's the kind of the whole essence of it, sort of thing, from the whole debut that finishes. How does this new series work? Because there's only two of you. How do you decide between the two of you? One of us will be mainly in charge and will have the final decision. That will be me for today. However, Sam has something called a veto. If he completely disagrees with one of my predictions or picks, he can veto it, and that one will automatically go through. He has 5 vetoes. Let's put our little Sam veto counter in the corner. There it is. He gets 5 vetoes. Sam cannot use his veto during the semi-final or the final, and he cannot use it on the same wrestler or category more than twice. So, for example, if this was Best Wrestler, he couldn't just have CM Punk win it by vetoing it all the time.
But he should.
Yeah, that's fair. And but this just gives it an element of who's in charge, our opinion and all that jazz, and also who knows more about a certain category. I probably know more about WWE debuts than you. Do you even know who half of these people are?
Yes, I know who Shinsuke Nakamura is.
Fantastic! That's always good. So, we have taken the 32 best. Where have we got these 32 names from? From research and from other people's lists and all that sort of things. And we have randomly put them into a brackets. There is no seeding, because if you've seeded it, you've already decided. And finally, if you think we are missing someone's WWE debut and you liked it, please put it in the comments. Tell us who we're missing. Tell us how stupid we are. We want to hear from you. And while you're there, like, share, and subscribe. That's all we need you to do. Just like, share, and subscribe. Be really nice of you. Anyway, let's start off with the brackets.
Yes.
Our WWE debut. And we are starting with the left-hand side. So we're going to do the left-hand side, talk about it for a bit, do the whole left side of the field before we then do the right side, and then we'll have our final. Our first match, Sam, is who?
It is The Shield versus Eric Bischoff.
I tell you what, these are 32 strong debuts, and we're starting off really, really, really strong.
Yeah.
So Eric Bischoff, right? This one, I think, is the fact that he just appears on Raw with Vince McMahon and hugs after WWE have put WCW out of business. Not long prior, if we say WrestleMania 17, we've just had WrestleMania 18 a couple of months afterwards, because they do the brand split with new GMs, with him being Steph. It's that quick. It's like a year. And it's really like, oh my God, the person who's trying to put out of business. It really is such a shock.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, what? And they do a thing with Booker T where he goes, tell me I didn't just see that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. What do you think to the Shield then?
I think The Shield have been shafted here because Eric Bischoff's is that good. The Shield was very good. It's not quite like Nexus level. It was good. It's impactful. It's the main event of Survivor Series. It was intriguing. But I think it aged better with how they were booked after. Whereas if you look at it, it's just a debut. It was a bit like, oh, who are these guys? They're wearing kind of NAF SWAT gear that gets better as it goes. And they're kind of just wearing like black shirts at first.
Whereas, do you know what? I think that really works. It made them look like mercenaries. And the fact they took out Ryback, who's still pretty over, and Cena, which led to Punk. I think these 3 young guys who no one knew, that's what made it really exciting.
No, I think it was great. I'm nitpicking because it's going against Bischoff's. It was brilliant. Great angle.
So what do you think to Bischoff's then? What's your view on that Bischoff's?
Amazing. It's as if, right, say AEW went out of business now. It's like seeing Tony Khan in WWE next year. It's probably even more mind-blowing than that, really.
It really is.
It's insane. And I think they did it brilliantly because you think, oh, he's going to be, against Vince, but we've seen that really. It was a twist of like, oh, now he's with Vince, and what a heel GM he was as well. The shock factor was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a tough one. So who are you getting the vote for? You're giving the vote to Eric Bischoff.
Bischoff for me.
I think this is really tight. I think this is a lot tighter. And weirdly, what actually is leaning me towards Shield is the fact that they did the Booker T thing and they gave it away. Because you imagine they did the announcement, and that's when Eric Bischoff came up with the hug. I like the Booker T thing, I did, but it did be like, you've just given away the big thing. So then they did the announcement afterwards, and everyone knew it was Eric Bischoff. So for me, I am genuinely going towards the Shield. I'm going to pick the Shield.
I'm going to use my veto.
You're going to veto early?
Yeah, I'm vetoing early.
Just ding that.
I get your point. I actually think doing it in a backstage segment makes it more shocking because you don't expect something that big to just happen then. Bischoff for me, but I see why you'd said Shield.
Okay. Our next match, AJ Styles versus Kane. Let's talk about AJ Styles first. What a debut that is. I mean, these are all great. There's no point saying what a debut. Number 3, first of all, what are you doing with the camera angle?
Oh,
stop looking at Roman. To be fair, they fix it on the network.
Yeah.
But at the time, everyone was like, "Who's this?" And then phenomenal, and just that noise. It's a noise you can't recognize. It's not a yay. It's a oh. And because I remember I was there for Cody and Drew's match for What Culture. And it was Drew's last match we went to WWE. We had no idea it was going to be Drew Cody. So when Drew's music hit, we all went, whoa! And it was that noise. It's very hard to replicate. And everyone did that. Yeah. Everyone did that. And he just was really good in that match. But I'm going to get back to that in a minute because it's got to be Kane.
It's got to be Kane. Yeah, poor AJ. He's up against an elite debut here.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Like, can we talk about... It's not the debut itself that's actually great. It's Paul Bearer's build-up of it. Because we had no idea really what was coming in terms of look. His brother, been burned. Beautiful build-up. And then the lights go red. Stop doing that. It doesn't work. Ripping the door off.
Oh.
That makes you look unbelievable. Wearing lips in your shoes helped too. And to be standing totally Undertaker's face of one of just like,
sold it.
Whoa. And then just tombstone him. That is an unbelievable debut. What stops AJ's from being better than Kane's, if you were going to go on like trying to be objective, is twofold. One, the camera angle, because no one knew. And they were like, everyone's making a noise and no one watching. And the second one is AJ sold way too much in that Royal Rumble. He became a real company man immediately. He tried his hardest to show that he was there for WWE because Vince didn't buy it. He thought his pop was a fluke. He thought AJ Styles' pop was a fluke. Vince, you're an idiot, right? But in general, I think he sold too much for everybody. Yeah. He actually looked a little bit like a chump, a little bit. A little bit mid-cardery. Thankfully, we all knew how great he was. And thankfully, Vince saw it very early because he fought Roman in a pay-per-view main event months later. But it's got to be Kane.
Got to be Kane. Agreed.
Our next matchup, really interesting, definitely iconic one, is Umaga versus Chris Jericho. Which one would you like to talk about first, Sam?
We can talk about Umaga. I think Umaga. It's a good debut. It's solid. It's like attacking Flair.
Destroys Flair.
Yeah.
Absolute complete savage. Actually looks like savage. Gets his character over immediately. Amanda Estrada is there as well on the side.
Yeah. Not after Mania as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. Which is always great. Always great.
Really good debut. Exactly how you'd want to debut Umaga. Really good. I just can't see it being Jericho for me. Jericho's is iconic. And I know his run after that actually wasn't great. But as the countdown, it was built and he interrupted The Rock and it felt really big and it's still talked about now.
Can I talk about Jericho's? Right, because out of all of these ones, Jericho's is the one I'm going to have the most visceral opinion of. I think it's terrible.
Really?
So, what you've just described is beautiful. Excellent. World class. Every single video that shows the top 10s from WWE's to other people show that. And then it cuts it off. The minute he walks out. That debut hasn't finished yet. AJ was the whole Rumble. You know, we're not just talking about his entrance. If it's his entrance, AJ Styles might be the greatest debuts of all time. Jericho then gets destroyed by The Rock. The Rock annihilates him. I put that very similar level to Billy Gunn, right? He completely destroys him. Jericho is immediately mid-carded. If you interrupt The Rock in 1999, you should be main eventing. Straight to the mid-card for you. You are a nothing. That debut is the most overhyped debut in WWE. It's fantastic the minute he walks out and everyone cuts it. No, if you carry that on, you would watch that and go, wow, he's a chump, isn't he?
It's very fair.
His is better than Umaga's, though. So I'm going to give it to Jericho here. But just so you're thinking they're going, it's just going to be a bog standard WWE debuts. I'm telling you now, Jericho's, it ain't as good as people think. Go back and watch the actual segment. Start it from the minute Jericho opens his mouth. Rock mid-cards him. Jericho wins. We're into the Ruthless Aggression era with this one. Very interesting one. This is to me tough to call, actually. We've got Carlito Carlito.
A spit in the face of people who don't want to be
Why
good.
do you not have that entrance music anymore? Sorry, Carlito versus Santino Marella. You haven't started watching yet for either of these. Yeah? You're a couple of years out for both of these.
I'm much more familiar with
Santino's.
Yeah. I know Carlito won the US, or is it?
So Carlito debuted the night after Cena had won the US title off Booker T in his big best of 5 series stuff, right? And he'd fought for the US title, and then Carlito hit him with a chain and took the title. That's a great debut. That puts you straight away. You're beating the number 2 babyface on SmackDown in John Cena, who'd just gone through a lot with Booker T. You look great. What ruined Carlito later on was he got injured almost immediately. But in that debut, he got his character over early because they had a segment where he talked, he did a spit in his face, he was really, really over. And then they had the match. Cena destroys him in this match, by the way. He doesn't come across great. He does come across a bit weak, but Carlito wins by hitting him with the chain. And then we go into a very weird storyline about Cena getting stabbed in a nightclub. It's really weird. By a guy called Jesus. It's called Jesus. Cena destroys him in a pay-per-view. It's really sad. But Santino Marella's the Milan Miracle. This was one of those ones where people, because obviously I think it got recorded before it went live. I could be wrong. And people had heard about it and thought it was like message boards just making stuff up. Now, if you were a vague wrestling fan and you saw Santino Marella, you knew, and if you kind of knew kayfabe, you'd go, well, clearly he's a wrestler. But I'll tell you what, they sold it so well, and Santino was so good at looking like just an average bloke.
Average Joe, yeah.
Because he got destroyed. He didn't fight. He just got destroyed. That it actually looked like a fan had won the title.
Yeah.
It really had. And who do you remember who took out Umar? It was a marker as well.
It was Bobby Lashley.
Yeah. And that's the thing people do forget is Bobby Lashley did most of the work. What ruined Santino Marella is the fact that he then, the next week, he was on Raw as a wrestler defending it. I can't say like, because I don't know how you book it after that. It took him a long time to get over that, actually.
Yeah, because now suddenly he's learned to wrestle within a week. But the moment, if we're just talking about the debut, so unique and so clever. And obviously the fans weren't meant for it because he was Italian and it was like he was literally...
worked. What a genius idea as well.
What an amazing idea.
Put it over him. He just couldn't fulfill it. I do believe if I'm picking between these two, and they both win a title on the opening night, that's fascinating. We've got one wins the US title against John Cena, and one, I think, for the spectacle of a fan, because they both get destroyed in their matches as well. These are eerily similar.
Yeah.
So because they're eerily similar, you have to go with the one with the big crowd moment and the shock, and that will be Santino Marella.
Yeah.
We agree? Then we move on to 2 very, very similar personalities for WWE. Goldberg versus Ronda Rousey. Yeah. Where would you want to start with there, Sam?
I'll start with Ronda here, actually.
Okay, Ronda. Because Goldberg's 2003, you can't remember it?
No, it's a great debut. No,
Good.
Against The Rock, I love it. I think it's fantastic. Ronda's, for me, is alright. Oh, it's just, that jacket doesn't fit her, does it? It just doesn't.
Well, it's Piper's.
I know, but it's
Piper's
I get that it's his jacket, but it does look a bit awkward. And the timing was weird. Because, yes, the pointing, it was a bit odd. It was more the fact it's the end of... It's the end of the Rumble, and it's Asuka's moment, and it's the first Rumble. It looks really contrived because you've got the champions just standing there awkwardly in a row, and then Asuka's kind of looking at them, not really doing anything, and then Ronda comes out, cool moment, big pop, and then doesn't really
shake Steph's hand.
Yeah, immediately.
Shake Steph's hand. That was the one that I thought was weird.
Because Steph clearly wanted that moment, and then...
Steph was good. Steph was good in that Royal Rumble, actually. She knew her place. She knew her little facts. She actually was sort of good on commentary. And then Ronda comes out, and it looked weird.
Yeah.
It was a great moment. The pop was huge. We were so excited for it. And I'm glad they didn't put her in the Royal Rumble, because it would be like when Jade Cargill debuted. You can't have a win yet. It wouldn't work. I have to admit, I actually like the debut. It's the constant pointing that just knocks it down. What ruined Goldberg from being spectacular is they actually talked about it on the WrestleMania beforehand. They actually said Goldberg's going to debut. Now, imagine if you hadn't said it and how big that moment would have been. Amazing. But Spear in the Rock, you're next. That's really good. Puts him over immediately. They got the timing wrong because Rock has to fill time a little bit. And you're like,
I can tell you this right now. And then
but Goldberg coming out in a jacket and stuff like that, look cool. Sadly, he then had a 15-minute match with The Rock and it failed. So, yeah, I still believe, though, between these two, Ronda's was the bigger pop. Goldberg was the better debut, I think. I do
It was
think
a good
that.
pop.
It was a big pop because it was someone who'd never wrestled before.
It was a big deal.
And we didn't fully know if she was coming. We pretty much knew. We didn't know if it was going to be then. Goldberg, we knew, but Goldberg's is better. Yeah. So I'm going with Goldberg. Same. We move into more modern era now against each other. We have Shinsuke Nakamura versus Braun Strowman. One from NXT, actually. It's very rare that we actually have an NXT debut. We don't talk about NXT a lot on this channel. But you probably know the Nakamura one really strong.
I do. So are you talking about Nakamura main roster or NXT?
I'm going NXT here.
Okay. Oh, that makes it difficult.
With Sami Zayn, the everyone. I've never heard this music before. They nailed the music.
Right. So you're not going the video where he shows up.
Oh, him actually appearing with Sami Zayn.
I think it's Nakamura for me then. And Braun's is great. I'll talk about Nakamura's. That's his best match in WWE. Sadly, it's the only one where he's properly Nakamura. It's an insane match. I remember thinking this guy is going to be WWE champion. He's going to be the next main eventer. It was an amazing match. The atmosphere, it was special. That it was really special. At a takeover when takeovers was still the big thing. Yeah,
it was a cool entrance as well. It got him, and if you can get over via your first ever entrance, you're off to the races. You've got something special. Braun's is really good. Yeah. Braun's is underrated. Braun couldn't wrestle at this point, right? Braun is green as grass. But what made Braun is better is twofold. One, skipped NXT. Now when someone debuts on the main roster, they've been to NXT. So there's no surprise there. It's like, oh, they've finally been called up or they've shown up. There's no yay to mystery. It. Braun skipped that. So when this huge mountain of a bloke just suddenly appeared in the ring wearing a black sheep mask, we're all just like, this guy's enormous. And it really was just like, whoa. And it did make you go. We talked about other things about big men and that what size gives you off. He's not as big as people like Big Show and Carly, but you did just go, holy crap, he is enormous. And they booked him so well. It's just a shame he couldn't really wrestle. Yeah. But that debut, those two debuts, Nakamura's entrance made him a main eventer immediately. And he was still in NXT. Yeah. If that can do that, that's it. So Strowman's I actually think is really good. I think it's one of the best big men debuts for a non-wrestler that people know, I've never heard of. Because every one of these, so far, the only one who's kind of been new is Kane, Umaga, and then Carly Santana Morella had been in the OV dub and stuff. This was special, but Nakamura's was the better one.
I agree. But Strowman is so unknown as well. In the area of IWC, even if not been NXT, people know, oh, that's him from New Japan or whatever. You didn't know who he was. Yeah. And that's so rare. That's unheard of. So special mention.
Well done, Strowman, but Nakamura for us. We move into another NXT debut versus very ruthless aggression debut. We have Adam Cole versus Scott Steiner. Sam, Adam Cole, I'll lead you. This is your era of wrestling.
Yes, I remember it well. So Drew just won the title in the main event. I can't remember who's first. I think it was Bobby Roode. And it's not just Adam Cole, it's really all of Undisputed Era debut.
What a theme song, by the way. Yeah. Undisputed Era. Oh, what a tune.
Fantastic. And it was really done well because I think it's Kyle O'Reilly appears on the ring post of Bobby Fish, and then suddenly Adam Cole attacks him.
And everyone knew who he was. That was the thing. Everyone knew who he was.
Everyone knew who he was. It was really over. And it's this new group coming in to take over. It felt like a really big deal. And it was done really well. Made him look like a star immediately.
Scott Steiner's very different because everyone already knew who he was. No one knew this debut was coming. This is Survivor Series 2002. It's in Madison Square Garden. We've got Christopher Nowinski and Matt Hardy in the ring, making fun of everyone, calling them lupid. Losers who are stupid. And then literally, the siren goes off. And the noise, Sam. The noise. Everyone went ballistic. This is a massive, big pop pump. This is a big pop. This is huge. Big pop, all right? Everyone went mad because no one realised he couldn't wrestle yet at this point. And then he comes in, destroys him immediately, and then, give me Mike. Which is very, you can hear it clear as day. Does his catchphrase. That is a fantastic way to essentially re-debut, but debut for WWE somebody. So you've got literally someone known in a very small, short thing, but the noise is unreal. And surprise versus a new star, NXT, new other stars as well. This could be an Undisputed Era one, really, rather than Adam Cole. This is a tough one to me. I think we've got to take out what happened later with Scott Steiner. And I think that's what everyone forgets here. They go, Scott Steiner, watch it back. Genuinely, it's a big, huge pop. So I'm actually going to just shade it and actually go Scott Steiner here.
It's one of those, whichever one you're going for, I wouldn't have vetoed it. I think I'm okay with either.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Scott's okay.
Scott Steiner. This one is already tough. This is Taz's WWE debut, again, Madison Square Garden, and Kevin Owens' NXT debut.
Oh, okay.
Let's talk about Taz, shall we?
Yes.
Everyone knew that was Taz coming. Every single person knew. Didn't matter that it was a new theme tune. It didn't matter that it was a new guy who'd never been in WWE before. Didn't matter that ECW was kind of small time. They'd been on the network a little bit and they had their pay-per-views. When Taz's music hit, everyone went mental. Absolutely mental. And in that match, he looks like a killer. It is literally the best thing that Taz ever did in WWE.
Yeah.
And it ends pretty much the minute after that. He chokes out Kurt Angle, who had never lost at that point. Because they went with a choke, it protected Kurt. Because obviously Taz's mission was a choke, and Kurt could go around saying that. So that works really well as well. He looked great. I don't understand why they didn't just keep going. Because that debut, Taz looks incredible.
I think Vince has just gone, he's too short.
Too small.
Yeah.
He liked his legs. He liked his legs. And then he started wearing trousers. And Taz is like, why are you covering up your legs? It's really, things like that. It's strange. Yeah. Kevin Owens' debut, NXT though, Sam.
Well, are you counting what happens in the main event?
Yep, that's all debut. Debut is the whole.
If you're counting that, it's box office. It's just so.
Comes out, babyface, destroys. I don't remember who beats actually in the match.
No,
beats someone. Who cares? And then Sami Zayn, they have the big little hug moment. And Sami Zayn's just won the NXT title, and then power bombs him on the apron, the hardest part of the ring. That's just like, wow, this guy is something. To turn heel on your debut is difficult to do. That's how you do it. Yeah. Literally booked to perfection. Triple H's booking of NXT at this time is just world class. It was great to see it then move on to the main roster. Yeah. This is a tough one. Because one, it's the best thing someone ever did.
Yeah.
And one, it's a great introduction to a heel character.
And what a debut on the main roster you had as well. Not that this is that.
Because Kevin is the NXT roster, which just drop that down a little bit for me.
Oh, I'm talking about Kevin Owens'
Yeah. With John Cena. Yeah, that's really good as well.
Really good. I can go with either. I think
booking-wise... Who's your gut going?
It's really harsh.
Convince me.
It's really harsh on Taz. I'm going Kevin Owens.
You going Kevin Owens?
It made a star more than Taz could have been a star for me. And I know we're not supposed to factor in what happened after, but it's the booking of what Kevin Owens did because it was such a big deal. It was the main event and it created this big feud between Zayn and Kevin Owens. I'd go either way. I'm
going to go with Taz.
Okay.
And I think if you literally snapshot it, I think they both make them look like stars. Taz made it look like he was a bigger star.
Okay.
Whereas it set up the feuds absolutely fantastically, but it was more of a shock moment of the debut, whereas Taz was like, this guy's something. So I'm going to go with Taz, but I'll tell you what, Kevin, you've been shafted there. Yeah. But I think Taz is a special.
I can allow Taz.
Right, that's the first half of the draw done. We're now going to quickly run through the quarterfinals. We've talked about everyone, and we're just going to quickly run through these before we do the second half of the draw. So our first quarterfinal, last 16, apologies, is Eric Bischoff versus Kane. Two very, very special debuts, really. I still think Kane just nudges it for me.
Got to be Kane.
But I think it's got to be Kane. I think Bischoff's is much bigger than people realise it for. I think the difference is Bischoff's was more of a shock. Everyone's like, I can't believe this. Whereas Kane, a new character that easily people could have laughed at.
Yeah.
Everyone went, whoa. I've got Kane.
Can't go against Kane.
Chris Jericho versus Santino Marella. Two very different ones. I can tell you already where I'm heading towards.
I think I agree.
I think Santino's is better than Jericho's. And a lot of people are going to be like, whoa, and that's going to be the thing that's going to have the most comments. I know it's coming. Go watch it, right? Jericho, brilliant. Downhill, right? And no one talks about it. It's not talked about enough, where Santino's is great all the way through.
It's unique.
It's so... No one's ever done that before. One from a fan, won a title from a fan. There's been people who've debuted as fans.
Nicholas.
Earthquake was probably the most famous one, actually. He debuted as a fan. But Nicholas won the title as a fan. Oh, God.
How is that not on there, Sam?
Maybe I need to pick Chris Jericho. Santino's not unique anymore. No, I'm going with Santino. I do think Santino's is special. And I think Jericho's is the better debut ruined. I really do believe that. If Jericho could just come out on his own, not interrupted The Rock, or even interrupted The Rock and goes, I'm better than you, I'm going to beat you for the WWE title, and left, I think it would be the best ever. Santino Morello for me?
Yep, agreed.
Goldberg, Nakamura, another person who interrupts The Rock, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe if you want to get yourself over, interrupt The Rock.
Yeah.
Nakamura's debut to me, even though it's on NXT, like we talk about him compared to Kevin Owens, for example, that music, he didn't need to do anything. Kevin had to do something to put him in that star level. Nakamura showed up.
Yeah. But not only showed up, then had an absolute classic.
Didn't even need that, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Didn't even need that. Just that entrance was enough.
It made it like an occasion.
Oh, it did, yeah. You wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah, massively.
So I think Nakamura's over Goldberg.
Yeah, though I really like Goldberg.
I like Goldberg. Scott Steiner and Taz. MSG versus MSG.
The New York Derby.
Who popped more for the other one? They popped more for Taz.
I would say Taz.
Steiner came out. It was really, really funny. Mike. But he took on Matt Hardy and Nowinski, two nothing heels at this point, sadly, especially Matt Hardy, which is really sad. Taz beats Kurt Angle, who was already debuted himself. Taz, we're down to our technically quarterfinal. Kane, Santino, Marella, Sam.
Sorry, Santino.
Oh, is he finally? Is it as the Milan Miracle?
Yeah.
Has he not made another one?
Run as finally
Not
comes
for you.
to an end. No, not in any world.
No.
Kane's
is better. What would knock Kane's down? Do you think? What is it? The fact that it debuts and ruins a Hell in a Cell match?
No, it doesn't ruin it. It makes it better for me.
I mean, the idea that Sean can just gets away with it again.
I think that's fine. I don't think you can really pick that much into it. No, I don't think
it's better. I think what would have been different to Santino. So, how did Santino get above it? Is I'm not sure because of the fact that he looks. I don't know if it would have been better if he would have wrestler and done it or whatever and won the match himself maybe. But the fact that he was a nobody, looked like a fan. I think the uniqueness of it is what puts it there. But Kane becomes immediate main event.
Immediately.
Whereas Santino was a lower card Intercontinental Champion. So we love you, Santino. What a debut. Well done making the quarterfinals. But gotta be Kane. Nakamura and Taz. I tell you what, two very different, but very samely. Everybody knew who they were. They both had great music. They both had great pomp and circumstance. They both then had really good matches. I think the only difference is, do you go with Nakamura having the better match, or do you go with a bigger crowd making a bigger noise, immediately putting technically a star level?
I think you underestimate how good that crowd was for Nakamura.
Oh, no, NXT crowd full sale are amazing. Yeah, but this is MSG, 20,000 people. Occasion. Like, to have 20,000 people know who you are. Admittedly, it's New York, he's from Red Hook and all that lot. But that's something special to me.
I'd edge it for Nakamura, What do you think?
I think it's Taz. I'm actually going to select Taz.
Do I use my veto? You know what? I've got 4 of them. I only use my veto.
Nakamura
Yeah.
automatically goes through to the semi-finals.
But I can forgive you saying
Final semi-final match. Sam has no veto. It's Kane Nakamura. It's Kane, right?
It's just Kane, isn't it, really?
Cool. I love Nakamura's, by the way. I've watched that so many times. I've watched Kane's more.
Yeah, and I think he'd beat Taz as well.
Yeah, I think Kane beats Taz. That's the thing. As much as it is, I think Kane, rightly so, is making the final for the WWE. So, who is going to take on Kane from the right-hand side of the field now? So we've got a brand new set of competitors, and we are kicking off with Booker T versus The Rock. So The Rock's debut, Rocky Maivia character sucks, we all know this, but the debut is actually not that bad. Comes out happy babyface. Survivor Series 96, everyone, yay, happy face. And he wins the match. So gets over the new character, the new guy, and he wins the match, which is really, really good. And then Booker T's debut.
Yes, he attacks Austin at King of the Ring 2001, I believe, and it's during the triple threat with Jericho and Benoit. Really good moment, shocking because he's WCW, technically their champion, but the problem is he doesn't actually cost Austin the match.
No, and Austin's a heel.
Yeah.
And the invasion hasn't kicked off yet for Austin to be a face. And Booker T, he comes off as a big face. It's a bit of a confusing one, it really is. But I think when you look at these two, if you're going to be the new guy, you've got to do something to get yourself massively over as the new character. If you talk about Santino Marella, Umaga, or Kane, and Rock kind of just comes out on the Rock, or Rock Maivia, and wins. Yeah. Booker T, lasting impact. Everyone's like, whoa, Booker T's just turned up and debuted and attacked Austin, the main eventer. So for me, Booker T's debut.
Agreed.
Two very interesting characters coming in now. We've got Solo Sikoa and the Great Khali.
What a match that would be.
Oh my God, just thumbs and hands.
Yeah.
Thumbs and hands.
Simone spiking his stomach.
Yeah. It's really tough for me to judge Solo Sikoa because he just makes me sad, his debut. Because I wanted Drew to win.
We watched it together.
We wanted Drew to win so badly. We haven't watched many pay-per-views together. That one we watched together and we just wanted Drew to win. And this new guy who had been on NXT. So this is the difficult one because he has technically debuted, but it was NXT, but this is his main roster debut we're looking at here. We do every now and then have a main roster debut, NXT debut, so we are including his main roster debut, even though he was North American champion, I think, at the time, will knock it down. But at the end of the day, he was at a 60,000-seater show, costing probably the biggest babyface of the time before Cody, you would argue, the championship, and siding with Roman and the Bloodline, one of the greatest storylines of all time. That's a big debut.
It's a big deal. It was a really big deal. We were gutted about it, but we wanted to see where it was going, and ultimately it was a good decision long term. So it's a good debut. It's a bit done, isn't it? Like, the hooded figure, I'm going to interrupt this match last minute, pull the ref out the ring. It's a bit basic, but it was good. It was effective.
Whereas the Great Khali, this debut is an underrated debut.
Agreed.
Because everyone, when they think Great Khali, they think about the rubbish that happened. This man just walks out with Davaris, everyone knows immediately that he's a bad guy. And he literally, Undertaker I think has been at Mark Henry at the time, and literally towers over. And you remember, Khali's wide as well. Huge.
At that time, he was
huge,
big,
man.
Yeah.
And then literally just chops Undertaker and just lays out the Undertaker. This is Undertaker probably when he's just starting to get good. You know, he's come back as the dead man now. So this is around 2006, I believe. And so he's, really interesting to have 2006. This debut actually puts over a monster immediately. Too bad he couldn't wrestle, because that's where they pulled his match from SummerSlam for that reason. But I actually think this debut is better than Solo Sikoa's.
Oh, agreed.
Yeah. I think the Great Khali is a really underrated debut. Genuinely, if you're putting over a big man, that's how you do it. Great Khali has won a match. Positivity.
Hey.
The Big Show and M&M. I'm going to talk about M&M actually.
Go for it.
A very forgotten debut. This is the time when Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio are having problems. They're still the champions. Then Carlito's got his Cabana talk show thing.
Oh yeah.
And Eddie Guerrero and Rey are meant to be on it. Rey's definitely on it. And then M&M just turn up with a great entrance. They look cool. They look like stars. And also they look very easy to hate. Melina's thing got herself over for sexy shenanigans. It's up to you if you like that or not. And then M&M looked good. I mean, as a pairing, they challenged for the tag team championships. Eddie Guerrero makes his triumphant like return to help Rey at the end of it, but they don't succeed, sort of thing. And M&M come away with the tag team championships. That's a very good debut to win your titles on the first night.
It's always strong, isn't it? And it's a novelty to have someone turn up, they're champion. It's got intrigue.
And it worked with the characters as Hollywood as well, like a Hollywood things with red carpet, having title belts immediately. That actually put them over massive. I actually argue they were one of the best tag teams of that mid-2000s era.
Good tag team, yeah.
The Big Show, though. It's Paul White!
It's Paul White! It's good. It's good.
It's not good.
Well, it is.
He looks like he literally is a great example of Big Show's career.
Isn't he?
He's a chump. Yeah. I'm going to throw you out. Oh, he wins the match.
Damn. Yeah, I was getting to that really. It's not great logically.
Imagine if Vince had won that match because of Big Show's interference. He looks immediately like a monster and a star.
Yeah.
But immediately he looks like a chump, and it just straight down the card.
I've sort of thought, okay, so if you're going to have Paul White, Big Show, come in and actually help Vince do something, why is he not debuting at the end of the Rumble to help him win the Rumble?
Oh my God, yeah. It's literally a month prior.
Yeah, instead of doing this and helping Vince lose and looking immediately ineffective.
That depends on contract.
I get. Obviously, that's
depends how quickly he came over.
Because
I think he came over really fast, so he might not have been available.
But that makes.
That makes more sense to me. I absolutely love that. But like him turning up at St. Valentine's Day Massacre was, what a random name. Comes to the ring, really cool. Beats up Austin, really cool, and then loses. And you're like, oh. So I weirdly actually am going to go with. I can't believe Eminem are going to make the last 16. But I'm going to go with Eminem here. I actually think it's better than Big Show's.
I'm on board.
Because I think Big Show's like Jericho's. Watch it, and then they stop it. You notice they stop the clip.
As soon as he hits them,
If they have to stop the clip, not a good debut. Two very different eras, but not longer apart than you think. These are 2 years apart, Sam.
Wow. 2
years. Think about what I'm about to say here with these two next competitors. This is John Cena versus the Radicals. 2 years apart, that is. That's mad. Yeah. That is absolutely mad that is the gap. So, John Cena, ruthless aggression. And then has a good match with Angle. Angle can carry anyone, couldn't he?
It's true.
Angle could carry anyone. Because Cena was green. Green as anything. But he looked great.
He did.
Shakes hands with The Undertaker backstage. It looked great. You thought he was going to work. He didn't have a character. But that debut is a great way to debut a nothing white meat babyface.
Yeah. And Angle made him look
great. Well done, Angle.
Good.
Angle understood the business. There are some people who are so obsessed with winnings and losses and stuff. For a man who, when he first debuted, was like, I can't lose. I never lose the Olympics. And had to be like, explain that are going to lose.
Yeah.
What a job Kurt did. Fantastic. But the Radicals, though, the day before, or like the week before, Benoit was the heavyweight champion of WCW.
No.
And he's just there in the crowd with Malenko, Saturn, and Guerrero. And then they get into a fight with DX in the audience. That's great. That's really, really, really good. Yeah. Their booking just plummets.
Yeah.
Really fast. They turn heels and join them like weeks later. They all lost their first matches. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Absolutely terrible booking. But we're not looking at the debut. I think Cena's is better though. Agreed. Cena's is more famous, but Radicals just kind of being there was a shock. Cena's was nobody and made to look amazing and gets the rub from the two biggest stars on SmackDown in Angle and The Undertaker. What more could you want from a debut of a nobody character?
Yeah.
That's the impressive thing. Cena had no character.
Not
Ruthless aggression was all he had. Fair play. Now you've got the young and the old. This is the Nexus versus Sting. Where do you go there, Sam?
I'll die on a hill for the Nexus. I will die on this hill. I was 10 years old and these guys scared me. It was like an invasion. And
never been done before.
The beautiful thing is, it's not just these random guys. There was a story that we've
just seen them all.
It logically built to it. It made so much sense. It capitalised on how naff NXT season 1 was.
They kept going with 2 and 3 and 4.
It's this silly little reality show that was humiliating, and it made it a story, and it suddenly made it the biggest.
And it got Wade Barrett over as the leader of said group as well.
Absolutely. And it
got Bryan over later when he defected to the team at SummerSlam.
Absolutely. And the wrecking the ring in the set before.
Never been done. How often did you ever seen underneath the ring? Like the wood boards and stuff. That never really happened back then. Yeah. I can't remember ever seeing it.
And it was the idea that no one was safe. They had commentators, announcers, and
Justin
Roberts. Yeah. But no one was safe. Magical debut.
I tell you what is a magical debut. Sting's. That is, for a guy who had never been in WWE, so already that's like he's actually come. We thought he might, because he'd been with the game. He'd been done marketing for the game. But to come at that moment with the Authority versus Team Cena, which is actually one of the few Survivor Series matches I would recommend people watching, in my eyes, of Survivor Series elimination matches.
Great.
Why didn't Armstrong carry on counting the pin?
Agreed.
One, two, a crow.
You like Sting? Is that what Sting's in?
Yeah, it was. I was in WCW with you. Yay, Sting!
A friend from work.
Why didn't he cap the pin? But the fact the vigilante gimmick I actually liked as well. I wish Ziggler had hit another move in it, but that's nothing to do with it. So Sting's debut is really good, but as much as it's iconic, Sting's debut, Nexus again had to put over new stars. That's how you did it. They ruined it, but that night we will always have that night.
Always.
Especially the fact that they nearly got to a fight with CM Punk.
Yeah. That was amazing.
I've just had eye surgery. Punch him back.
That's funny to be fair. But yeah, Stings would destroy Eminem. However, he's facing the Nexus.
Woo! Ric Flair,
Both
Kurt Angle. Oh, they both woo.
Yeah.
They both do woo. Rick's is tough because his debut actually is the real world's champion gimmick. Because everyone thinks 2002. That's a re-debut. He comes as the WCW World Champion, and he turns up kind of, it's like primetime wrestling thing, and this chat show with Bobby Heenan, and he's been built up, and he says, I'm the real world's champion, and all that. Great. But I think then you go to Kurt Angle's debuts at Survivor Series against who?
I know this, Sean Stasiak.
Very good, yeah. Sean Stasiak. So actually, it's not as really well known. You know, he just comes, has a very mediocre match at Survivor Series. I think they give him mic in his hand and he gets booed. Yes, he does get booed.
It was really good because they were kind of booing him a little bit, and then they called an audible, told him to basically get on the mic and say, you do not boo an Olympic gold medalist.
And it worked really, really, really well.
Yeah.
I just think both are more underwhelming than you think of. You go, because everyone does think of the Ric Flair return in 2002. That's a return. 2001, pardon me. But that debut as the real world's champion, I actually think it's better than Angle's.
Yeah.
He turns up with the World Heavyweight Championship. Heenan's had the title, and they talk about, I'm the real world champion. They literally put over the guy from the Rival Show. Remember, this is in the 90s, kayfabe's still going on, and this is, why should I cheer this bloke? And they walk in and go, wow, this guy is the real deal. So well done, Vince, because I don't think he would have done that with anybody else, because he pretty much didn't. Every other person he brought over, like Kerry Von Erich, into the mid-card you go. Yeah. Here, Von Erich, bye. Yeah. Ric Flair, straight main eventer. Yeah. So I go Ric Flair, real world champion. Rey Mysterio versus The Undertaker. Two very interesting debuts. I'll talk about Rey Mysterio because I actually remember it very clearly. They've been hyping up Rey, so we knew he was debuting this night. And they've been using his mask that became the entrance thing. The mask keep changing. That was clever because you're like, that's interesting. Now, I had no idea who Rey Mysterio was. I'd been watching from end of 2001. Never seen him in WCW. So this cool guy comes out. He takes on Chavo. Perfect person. Unless your name's Sin Cara. To have your first match with. And really good match. Solid. Rey gets over his 619, which was a new move, if you recall. And the West Coast Pop. That debut was fine. What everyone forgets is later in the night, there's a steel cage. The Un-Americans are beating up people. Cena turns up in that, actually, to help out. Rey climbs, because he had a little backstage interaction. I can't remember if he got shoved over by Test. I think he might have done. And Rey does his magic dive. Absolutely perfect. Complete horizontal dive onto all of them. And immediately, everyone was like, that guy's cool. And that's fantastic. Yeah. That's really cool. So everyone thinks about the match with Chavo, but it's that dive. And that dive got replayed a lot.
Yes. It's like WWE Spider-Man. That's what he is.
That's what he was, yeah.
Amazing.
The Undertaker, though. Did he come out of the egg? Was he going to be in the egg? I can't believe he wasn't in the egg.
I can't believe God Will You Do is not on this list. Shame.
The Undertaker, though, Sam.
Great.
Look at the size of that hammock.
It's great. I feel as though in hindsight it's made to be better than it was because of the 30 years that came after it.
He was booked really well in that match because everyone was scared of him. He came out and he dropped Coco Beware on his head. Screw you, Coco. And then I think he beat somebody else. I think
he should have been Where.
Yeah, he should have been Where, but he wasn't. And then he gets counted out. So he gets put over strong. He never sells pretty much this entire match. Gets over the character. Everyone was like, you can look in the crowd, and I know there's a lot bit of hyperbole and hearsay, but you look at the crowd, they generally were a bit scared because it's still kayfabe. What's weird about it is, do you remember who his manager was?
It was the guy who's really red.
Brother Love.
Yes, Brother Love.
You think Paul Bearon's Brother Love turns up. What the hell's Brother Love doing here?
Yeah, does it?
And Ted DiBiase's the one who announces him. There's so many things that just, when you know the character's weird, but we have to talk about on the day. You can't talk about what happens afterwards. On the day, that was a character of awe. And everyone was like, wow. So this is actually a tough one because the match is fine. He doesn't put over many moves. He puts over the tombstone. He gets counted out, so he doesn't actually win the match. Because actually, that's like a bit of a... Rey's has a very mediocre to okay good match with Chavo, and then does an amazing... looks like a chump backstage, and then does an amazing cage dive. This is really tight. I think I would feel like I'm letting people down if I didn't have Undertaker win at least one match for his debut, because I think of the awe and circumstances. Everyone knew vaguely who Rey was. It was an introduction to Rey as a character, and it really helped to get Rey over. I think Undertaker coming out, very like Kane, could have easily been laughed at, and everyone was like, oh, they got it over immediately. Could it have been specialer? I absolutely agree. I think these are really tight.
I would go Ray, but I don't feel strongly enough to veto.
Yeah, that's the thing, is I could easily go Ray as well.
Yeah.
In fact, bugger it. Screw you, Undertaker. We're going Rey Mysterio.
Hey.
I've had it. No, I'm doing it because it's the Undertaker. Rey Mysterio's was better. That cage dive, immediately star. Immediately, and you know how good he was in the ring as well. So, Rey Mysterio beats the Undertaker. Oh, that's going to have comments.
But that's what we want.
Do you believe that Rey Mysterio's debut is better than the Undertaker? Put it in the comments below. Our final, last 32 match is Brock Lesnar versus Mankind. Again, two very different debuts. Mankind debuts, attacks the Undertaker and sides with Paul Bearer. That's fantastic. That's really, really great. Puts over a new character, a new monster for the Undertaker to face, and someone who is a good wrestler for the Undertaker to face, which, you know, is really, really great. But Brock's debut, again, if you're debuting a new guy that no one has ever heard of, never seen, I remember watching this, right? Yeah. I'm so, because this is, you're talking about 10-year-old you with the Nexus. This is 10-year-old me.
Yeah.
I am 10 years old when this happens. Day after WrestleMania 18, they're having a hardcore match. You got Maven, Goldust, Spike Dudley, people like that going on, and this monster of a man turns up, and Paul Heyman's at ringside, and you're like, what's Paul Heyman doing here? Because he's been gone since, you know, the Invasion ended at Survivor Series, and he just flattens everyone. He gets it over his new move, the F5, which Sean O'Hare was using, and then that powerbomb to lift powerbomb. Well done, can I just say, well done, Maven, well done. You sold that F5 perfectly. I actually don't think anyone sold it perfectly. He's dead straight, arrow straight, all the way around, beautifully done. That's an impact.
Oh, absolutely. You just immediately saw him as dangerous. Like, this guy,
dangerous.
Yeah.
And we didn't know how dangerous he was. That was the crazy thing. But you went, wow, damn.
Yeah, no, incredible. I'd say Lesnar. Yeah. I just think it was a novelty to start out of nowhere, but it was like, it was the repeated powerbomb. I haven't really seen that. Like,
no, just the lift up and bang.
It was, yeah.
Whereas Mankind's debut is very similar to a lot of other debuts. And what made it put it over against the Undertaker, that's like Gonzalez and people like that. What made it different is he's siding with Paul Bearer. And it's Paul Bearer's turn. So I actually think it was more about Paul Bearer than Mankind. That's why it drops it down for me. It's the fact that I felt Mankind wasn't the main focus of the debut. Now we're into the last 16 of the right-hand side. We've got Booker T versus the Great Khali. Two very different debuts. What are you thinking?
I'd side with, astonishingly,
the Great Khali. Yeah, I actually think so. I think Booker T is a really, really good one. Puts him straight into the main event. But I think it's like Khali over the Undertaker. Very similar to Mankind's. But I think Khali's the focus because Davari's there, but Khali's the focus. And we're like, what's going on? What's happening? He's so huge. He's massive. They do the step to each other, very similar to the Gonzalez thing. I like Booker T's debut. I think it shows that he became a main eventer straight away, which was great because they hadn't done that with WCW yet. Like, to put someone in the main event, or it feels like they're a main event. You got to remember, he then main event SummerSlam. Like, not long after King of the Ring. But I think the Great Khali's is genuinely better. Yeah. I really do. So actually, Great Khali has won another match.
There we go.
Eminem versus John Cena. It's John Cena, right?
Just isn't it?
Great. John Cena is through.
Happy with that.
The Nexus versus Ric Flair. I actually have an answer to this. Ric Flair's not being on like a Raw. You know, it's like prime time sort of wrestling to the side. You know, they didn't do anything. It was more of an interview type segment. Nexus was so shocking. I genuinely, unbelievably think the Nexus is
I think the Nexus,
debut.
Hands down.
Yeah.
As a debut, hands down Nexus.
Yeah. As much as it puts Ric Flair over as a megastar, this put over 8 unknowns as scary and dangerous. And remember, everyone forgets, they beat up John Cena and CM Punk. They beat up the main event of that Raw as well. It wasn't they just destroyed the ring like Retribution did. Yeah. It was, you know, they tried it again with Retribution. It was the fact that they beat them up.
Beat up security. It felt like, apart from Barrett, these guys weren't under contract, weren't employed.
No,
it was
they
like
weren't.
An attack. It was just,
scary.
Yeah.
Netflix.
You're either Netflix or you're against us.
Where's Amazon Prime?
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio, Brock Lesnar. I think we had such a struggle with Rey Mysterio beating The Undertaker. They were very close to each other. I think Brock wins. Because again, we are really enjoying these newer characters. This side, if Brock wins this, it'll be 4 brand new characters rather than debuts, like re-debuts or from other companies, kind of what the left-hand side is. I think it's really interesting, actually. Because Rey Mysterio, Ric Flair, you know, and Booker T, all WCW people we have decided that aren't as good. I think Brock's generally looks better.
I'd edge Brock.
I think Brock just nicks it. I think I think if Rey Mysterio hadn't done that cage dive, his debut is fine, but that cage dive is special to me. I really think, check out that cage dive. But Brock's debut is brilliant. Into the quarterfinals of the left-hand side of the draw, which is actually on the right. Great Khali versus John Cena. Now we've got a little discussion, very similar. One is a match, one is an attack. One is a white meat babyface who's given some fire and given a well done. One comes over as a monster who is something to be feared. It's where do you hedge? Where does your brain go for that?
I hate myself. Well, I'm on the right to know, but I think Khali.
I disagree.
Okay.
I generally think John Cena's is better because to then come out as a nobody, Angle's humiliating you, and to overcome that and then have a really good match and then to have Undertaker show respect. So even though there's not the awe, there's the element of you've put over a guy who has potential. And that's something that you don't get often. They're going, you held your own there, kid, against Angle. And he lost. That's what I actually think makes it. The fact that he lost and we still were going, great job.
Yeah.
And that's what puts it over from the Khali for me, because Khali was a chop and a powerbomb, I think, or a choke bomb, whatever it was. And as much as that was amazing, I think he put it to the table, I think, as well, top of my head. I think Cena's is better. So I'm going John Cena.
I won't veto that. That's okay.
Nexus, Brock Lesnar. 8 people who are scary and you were terrified of. 1 person who you're scary and terrified of.
I'd like to see that fight, to be honest.
At 1 on 8.
Killing everyone. Yeah. Nexus for me.
I've also got Nexus. Brock's is really short and he beats up 3 jobbers. Nexus beat up Cena and they beat up CM Punk. That's the difference to me. And the way it comes about it, the destroying of the ring. We don't want to repeat ourselves here, but I think Brock's is a wow. Netflix.
The Netflix.
The BBC iPlayer. ITV +1. Blaze. It's a channel. Apparently Blaze.
Oh, I know.
How do you know? But I think Nexus, it shocked so many people and put over 8 people at the same time. So Nexus over Brock. Ain't getting that often.
No.
John Cena versus the Nexus. It's SummerSlam 2010. Do you want Nexus to win just so you can feel like you've got the win that you were looking for?
Vindicated. Cena buried Netflix that night and I'll never forgive him. That's what they're called.
I can't believe they beat Disney Plus that night.
I want to get an armband with the logo of Netflix on it. That's what I want to call them.
Walk alone with Sandler movies.
What a theme song, by the way.
Oh yeah, it's actually really cool. It's really.
Yeah.
Did you know there was a dart player called Paul Nicholson, big wrestling fan, came out with that as his theme tune?
No.
Yeah, he was hated by everyone. He got booed by everyone. So he went, all right, I'll wear sunglasses and come out as the Nexus.
Nexus is amazing.
Yeah, so there you go. If you're a dart fan, Paul Nicholson, if you're listening in, big wrestling fan, we'll actually miss you. Get back on tour.
I bet he's watching.
He's a big wrestling fan. He will be. Big wrestling fan. He's a wrestling fan. He wants Royal Rumble in darts. He wants it. He's been asking for it. He's been booking for it. It'd be great.
Yeah.
But in wrestling terms, if you don't like darts, Nexus over John Cena. I think they both do the exact same job, actually. One shows respect and one shows fear. And one shows, that. You were so scared of the Netflix.
Of the Netflix.
No, Netflix now. No. Nexus are now Netflix now. I don't care. Yeah. That's it. Netflix. I think Netflix beat John Cena.
I agree.
And they're going to the final. And we have got to our final near the hour mark. It is Kane versus the Nexus. So first of all, before we give our answer, who do you think actually has the best WWE debut? Is it Kane? Is it Nexus? Is it somebody else and you're really annoyed? Please put in the comments about our decision here. Who do you also think, Kane and Nexus? Vote now. We'll give you 2 seconds. Got to be Kane though, right?
Unfortunately so.
Yes.
It just does.
It's this one's tough. Because it's putting over 8 people and putting over 1, and then you've got to try and ignore what happened afterwards. But I think the difference is John Cena, CM Punk, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels. Main event of Raw, main event of Bad Blood.
And the build-up, and the lore behind it that it's his brother.
They literally push the idea of someone, which usually does ruin a debut, but it's the idea of who is this guy going to be? What's he going to look like? He looks unbelievable. Like, Kane is one of the best looking wrestlers in terms of that period of all time. And that debut, you didn't even need to have him rip the cage door off, but that really helps him looking like a monster. Just him literally eyeball to eyeball with The Undertaker, just like Carly's was. But you were like, this is his brother. And Undertaker, his face of shock and awe. I really appreciate Nexus is what they did. It's really sad what happened afterwards, but it made 8 people look something, and it made them a threat to WWE. It brought people back to WWE briefly because it was so cool. But usually when we do the brackets, we think it might be a surprising person, but in this case, the best WWE debut is exactly what you think it probably will be. It's got to be Kane. Thank you so much for watching our long bracket video. I hope you enjoyed it. Who else do you want us to do? What other sections do you want us to bracket? We have many to go through. So thank you very much. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Please watch all of our other content. I have been Sam. This has been Baby Sam. And we are Sam's on Wrestling. And we will see you another time. Thank you very much.